with Zero Inc, and I'm back with another Kickshot Angle discussion. Sony press conference for me was just amazing. I'm going to try to do this without sounding so much like a fanboy, because I do think Microsoft put on a decent show. I do believe they put on a passable show. They gave the Microsoft fan base a lot of things to be happy about. You have to put your bias aside. When you're looking at conferences and you're grading conferences and you're grading how conferences do, you have to really take into account the fact that we're talking about the conference itself. We're not talking about what will come, what won't come, what's multi-plat, what's not. What is in the conference itself? How the conference played out itself. Pops that were got, the way that it flowed, how well they did. That's judging a conference. So when I grade EA a lot better than a lot of people would, or I grade Microsoft a lot lower than a lot of people would. I love gaming. I don't mind any system. I don't mind what system you like. There's just certain things that you have to grade. There's certain things you have to take note of when you talk about the conferences. Even though Sony didn't give many release dates, they did show gameplay. They showed gameplay and they gave release dates of the multiplats, but they showed gameplay. So, they started it off big. 30 minutes early, they did like a pre-show to show off Tearaway Unfolded, Batman, and several other items that they could not show or fit into the E3 conference. So that was already good. So I was already going in excited because I had already seen trailers of games that they've already announced before the conference even started. Then they did exactly what I thought they were going to do. They did a montage in the beginning of the show, things that they've shown already in previous conferences and what they showed last year. So the conference started. The minute I saw this guy walk up on stage, I was like, dude, if he starts talking about stats, if he starts talking about stuff that I don't care about, I'm going to be pissed. Sean Layden comes out, and he did talk a little bit about the direction he wants to take PlayStation, and then immediately they drop a bombshell. Immediately, straight out the gate. Now, whether you like it, you hate it, it showed up. The game everybody was waiting for showed up. The pop and reaction this game got was amazing. And the game, for the art style, looked absolutely amazing. It definitely sparked my interest. It definitely showed me what I needed to see in a playable build, as you would. Then after that, they announced a new IP. Huge pop, Guerrilla Games, Horizon Zero Dawn. Started off with just the CGI trailer. And then they showed gameplay of a game we hadn't even seen yet. Caused another big pop because the game looks phenomenal. And anything with cavemen type people fighting robotic dinosaurs is going to pique my interest. Then they showed Hitman. And I know what you're saying, you're like, oh, that's a third-party title, it's on Xbox too. But you've got to realize this is Sony's conference. Whether it's on Xbox or Sony is irrelevant. Xbox showed a lot of third parties as well. And whether it's on Sony's or Xbox's platform, that's irrelevant because these conferences are supposed to incite hype from the player, you and me. Just think about this for a second. Last Guardian, a game that we've been waiting for forever. Guerrilla Games, new IP. Boom, they finally get to show that off. They actually showed gameplay of that. Then they hit you with Hitman, the CGI announcement trailer, and they say the console exclusive beta is for PlayStation 4. Then they showed Street Fighter V gameplay trailer. July 23rd will be the exclusive beta for Street Fighter V. Then they jumped right into No Man's Sky. I'm talking boom, 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 boom. Show gameplay for No Man's Sky. There is not one, except for the third-party title, that they have not shown gameplay for. Not one. Not one title did they not show gameplay for, except for the third-party titles that didn't have it. No Man's Sky looks absolutely stunning. Looks amazing. Looks interesting. I can't wait to dive into that game. And then Media Molecule comes out. They show their new IP. It's like a sketch sculpting game that you get to sculpt your own characters and you get to make your own dreams. The game looks absolutely stunning. I'm gonna say it's a CGI trailer. I'm not gonna say that this is the way the game absolutely looks because they did show a little bit of sculpting, but they didn't actually show real in-game footage, but they said they'd show more of that at Paris Games Week. But then they said Firewatch will make its console debut on PlayStation, and they showed gameplay of that. Then they showed Destiny DLC, the announcement CG trailer for The Taken King, and it's out on September 15th, 2015. And then they showed Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and they showed the female side of Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Evie was announced in the CGI trailer, so they have that marketing deal. Then they showed World of Final Fantasy. CGI announcement trailer, and it's exclusive for PlayStation. Oh great. Another Final Fantasy tease. Another Final Fantasy. Why are you doing this to us, Square Enix? Why are you doing this? Another tease of Final Fantasy. And then they announce Final Fantasy VII Remake. A real remake. They are doing it, people. They are doing Final Fantasy VII for the new consoles in a remake. I nearly cried. I did not think for 1 second that Final Fantasy VII would be remade. Now this actually looks like it's going to be real. That's amazing. And I know you guys can say, oh, well, it's not exclusive because it was first on PlayStation. So my guess is it's going to be on all platforms. It was first on PlayStation. It's not exclusive. But this is Sony's conference. Now just think about that. This is Sony's conference. They're announcing things that we did not know were coming out. They're showing gameplay for pretty much everything that we saw at the conference. This is Sony's conference. So Sony is shocking people with everything they're announcing. Making people clap, making people cheer, making people lose their minds. After this announcement, I didn't think they could give us any more unexpected things. Then they showed indies. I didn't catch which indies because I was still kind of shocked that they were doing a remake, but they did show some indies. They kind of flew through them. I didn't expect Sony to actually do that. I expected them to give some of the spotlight to the indie games, which is weird because they gave the spotlight to the indie games last year, but they didn't give the spotlight to the indie games this year. Instead, Microsoft gave the spotlight to the indie games. It was like a flip of conferences from last year to this year. Then they did something amazing. They announced Shenmue 3, the Kickstarter. They brought the director from Shenmue out and basically jump-started his Kickstarter for him. Regardless of whether you think Sony is broke or Sony is not. Because I guarantee you, if Sony wanted to fund this project, they could have. The fact that they gave up time in their conference for a developer that gave us such wonderful games cannot be denied. They didn't just hand them money to make Shenmue 3. They brought them out on the big stage. They said, hey, help kickstart this project and finish off this wonderful franchise. Now, regardless of what you think about Sony or whether you think they should be funding the project or whatever, to give a slot when you could have been showing another game or you could have been doing something else to really get your fans hyped, regardless of what you think of Sony, regardless how you feel about Sony, this was an amazing gesture to give up their time in this conference for a developer that has been gone for a long, long time. And then they showed Batman. A little bit of the Scarecrow DLC. It looked awesome. It looked cool. This is a conference. They're supposed to get people hyped for what's coming to the PlayStation platform. Then they showed Project Morpheus. They announced the games that they had for it. Then they talked about PlayStation View. They talked about the fact that you can now subscribe to certain channels without having to actually pay for cable, which is actually a pretty cool little feature if you think about it. It got a huge pop from the audience, and they just breezed through that. Then, boom, Black Ops 3. Sony is now partnered with Activision on Black Ops 3. They showed 4-player co-op gameplay for Black Ops 3. The game looks absolutely stunning, and beta access for this starts in August on the PlayStation 4. Great news. So it was another big title, and they showed gameplay. Then they showed a little sizzle reel of other titles they couldn't fit into the conference. Then they showed Disney Infinity 3.0. Starter Pack is exclusive to PlayStation platforms, kind of like a Star Wars themed Disney Infinity. And then they showed Star Wars Battlefront. Showed gameplay for that, showed that they were partnered on that as well. And then they finished it off with Uncharted 4 gameplay. The gameplay did have a little bit of bugs. Games that aren't finished are going to have issues. These are also trailers. These are also gameplay setups that are going to have bugs. Let's count the games that had gameplay. Last Guardian had gameplay. Guerrilla Games' new IP Horizon had gameplay. Hitman was a CGI trailer. No Man's Sky had gameplay. Media Molecule had a little bit of gameplay, but still a CGI trailer, so we'll say 3. Firewatch had gameplay. Destiny DLC was CGI. Assassin's Creed Syndicate was CGI. World of Final Fantasy was CGI. Final Fantasy VII Remake was an announcement trailer. Shenmue was an announcement trailer. Batman, they showed gameplay. Project Morpheus, they showed gameplay from several games in that. They showed gameplay from Street Fighter. They showed Black Ops 3 gameplay. The Sizzle Reel had a bunch of gameplay trailers in it. Disney Infinity had gameplay. Star Wars Battlefront had gameplay. And Uncharted had gameplay. That's 11 trailers that had gameplay in it. And all the first-party titles showed gameplay. So, with that in mind, for a conference, this conference gets an A rating from me. Now, I know I sound like a huge fanboy, and I know everyone's going to hate me for giving EA a B and giving Microsoft an even lower score. Who showed gameplay? Who showed reveals? Who showed dates? What did they show? As I counted them off for you, that's 11 gameplay trailers shown on the PlayStation conference, and announcement trailers that got a huge pop from the audience. There was no time in this conference where I was bored or I was falling asleep. This was, I'd say, one of the best E3s I've ever seen Sony pull off. Simply because of the way it went together, simply because of all the exciting announcements they made, simply because they didn't even use the JRPGs and the other exclusives that they have. Gran Turismo is still missing, which I guarantee you will be at Paris Game Week. Ben Studios IP is still missing. Dragon Quest Heroes, missing. Gameplay trailer. Persona 5, missing. Gameplay trailer. Disgaea 5, missing. Gameplay trailer. So, I definitely give this conference an A. This is my third A given out of all the conferences. Tune in with me again for the last 3 conferences. This has been Zero. Keep gaming, gamers, and I will see all of you guys and gals next time.